The year is 490 BC. The mighty Persian Empire, led by King Darius I, has set its sights on Greece. Determined to punish Athens and Eretria for their support of the Ionian Revolt, he sends a powerful expedition to bring the rebellious city-states to their knees. With thousands of soldiers and a formidable fleet, the Persian forces, under the command of Datis and Artaphernes, launched their campaign. After crushing Eretria, the Persians turned their attention to Athens. Their fleet lands on the vast plains of Marathon, a strategic location just 40 kilometers from the Athenian capital. The Athenians, realizing the imminent threat, seek Spartan aid. But the Spartans, bound by religious obligations, refuse to march until the full moon. With no reinforcements arriving in time, the Athenians and their allies from Plataea must stand alone against the Persian war machine. The Greek army, though outnumbered, has a powerful advantage: their heavily armored hoplites. These citizen soldiers, armed with long spears, large shields, and sturdy bronze armor, are trained to fight in a tight formation known as the phalanx. While the Persians boast a vast and diverse army, light infantry, archers, cavalry, and their elite warriors, the immortals, their troops lack the same level of armor and discipline in close combat. Miltiades, the Athenian general, knows that a head-on engagement with the superior Persian numbers would be disastrous. Instead, he devises a daring strategy. He strengthens the Greek flanks while thinning the center, creating a trap that will lure the Persians into overextending themselves. If the plan works, the Greeks will be able to encircle and crush their enemies. At dawn, the Greek forces make their move. They launch a full-speed charge down the slopes of Marathon, closing the distance before the Persian archers can inflict serious damage. The sheer speed and coordination of the hoplites take the Persians by surprise. The battle erupts in chaos. The heavily armored Greeks smash into the Persian lines with incredible force. At first, the Persian center, manned by their elite forces, pushes the weakened Greek middle back. It seems as though the Greeks are on the verge of breaking. But this is exactly what Miltiades anticipated. As the Persian center advances, the Greek flanks, reinforced with their strongest troops, begin to collapse inward. The Persians suddenly find themselves trapped on three sides, with no room to maneuver. The battlefield turns into a slaughterhouse. The Persian soldiers panic. Their formation crumbles as the Greeks relentlessly cut them down. Desperation takes hold, and the Persians attempt to flee toward their ships. But the Greeks are relentless. They chase their enemies to the shoreline, cutting down thousands as they retreat. Many Persians drown in the marshes near the beach, unable to escape the Greek onslaught. By the time the dust settles, the Greeks have achieved a stunning victory. According to Herodotus, the Persians suffer 6,400 casualties, while the Greeks lose only 192 warriors. Though modern historians suggest Greek losses may have been higher, the outcome is undeniable. The mighty Persian Empire has been humiliated. The Battle of Marathon is more than just a military triumph. It sends a powerful message. The great Persian war machine is not invincible. This victory boosts Greek morale and lays the foundation for future resistance against Persian invasions. The stunning Greek victory at Marathon sent shockwaves throughout the ancient world. For the first time, the seemingly unstoppable Persian Empire had been defeated in open battle by a far smaller force. However, the war was far from over. The Persians had suffered a humiliating loss, but King Darius I was not the kind of ruler to forget or forgive such a setback. He immediately began preparations for a much larger invasion to crush Athens once and for all. But fate had other plans. Before he could launch his revenge campaign, revolts broke out in other parts of his vast empire, forcing him to redirect his attention. Then, in 486 BC, Darius died, leaving his throne to his son, Xerxes I. The Persian plan for vengeance was delayed but not abandoned. For the next decade, Athens used the time wisely. The statesman Themistocles, recognizing that the Persians would eventually return, convinced the Athenians to invest in a powerful navy. Massive silver deposits discovered in Athenian mines were used to build hundreds of warships called triremes, sleek, fast vessels designed for ramming and sinking enemy ships. Athens was no longer just a land power, it was becoming a naval superpower. In 480 BC, Xerxes I launched the long-awaited invasion. Unlike his father's expedition, this was no mere punitive raid, it was a full-scale conquest. The Persian army, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, was the largest force the ancient world had ever seen. bridges were built across the Hellespont to allow his army to march from Asia into Greece, and a vast fleet sailed alongside them to support the invasion. The sheer size of the Persian force was overwhelming. The Greek city-states, despite their differences, knew they had to unite or be destroyed. Sparta, Athens, and other city-states formed an alliance to resist Xerxes. The Spartans, under King Leonidas, led a small force to hold off the Persian advance at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. For 3 days, the legendary 300 Spartans and their allies fought a heroic last stand, inflicting heavy Persian losses. But ultimately, they were betrayed, and the Persians broke through. With the land route open, the Persian army marched toward Athens. The Athenians, realizing they could not defend their city, made a bold decision. They abandoned Athens and evacuated their people to the island of Salamis. The Persians entered the city unopposed, burning it to the ground in a show of dominance. But Themistocles had a trap in mind. Luring the overconfident Persian fleet into the narrow straits of Salamis, the smaller and more maneuverable Greek ships launched a devastating ambush. The massive Persian fleet, unable to navigate properly in the confined waters, was crushed. This shocking Greek victory turned the tide of the war. 1 year later, in 479 BC, at the Battle of Plataea, the Greeks delivered the final blow. A united Greek army, led by the Spartans, decisively defeated the remaining Persian forces. With this victory, the Persian invasion was over, and Greece had secured its independence. The Persian Wars would shape the future of Western civilization. Athens, now the undisputed leader of Greece, entered a golden age of power, art, and philosophy. But the lessons of Marathon, Thermopylae, Salamis, and Plataea would never be forgotten. They proved that unity, strategy, and sheer determination could allow a free people to stand against even the mightiest of empires. Today, the legacy of those battles still echoes through time. The Marathon run, the heroic last stand at Thermopylae, the brilliance of the Athenian navy at Salamis. These stories continue to be told, reminding us that even the smallest forces, when driven by conviction and strategy, can stand against the mightiest of empires.